Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Research, a segment of PT Meal Podcast in partnership with the Philippine Journal of Physical Therapy. In this segment, we will take a deep dive into the research and talk to authors of select articles published in the Philippine Journal of Physical Therapy. In this episode, we will discuss the research entitled Arnis-based Exercise Program for Balance Control in Community Dwelling Older Adults, a study protocol for a pilot randomized controlled trial. I'm pleased to have in the show its principal author, Associate Professor Donald Lipardo, a faculty member in the College of Rehabilitation Sciences in the University of Santo Tomas. Welcome, Dr. Lipardo, to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for the invitation. And I'm glad this is finally happening.
Yes, I really appreciate you being here. I know you're very busy, so I want to thank you for taking time to have this conversation at last.
Right.
So,
It's an honor, actually. It's my honor to be
oh
here.
wow. So the research is about our niece, and when I first saw it, I was like excited about it because at last we're talking about our own martial arts in the
Yes.
Philippines, and in conferences and in seminars we talk about like fall prevention, and we hear a lot about Tai Chi, which is coming from China. So
Yes.
our niece is our own martial art, so why can't we, it's about time to have that. So in this research, you'll investigate the effectiveness of our niece-based exercise program on balance control on healthy community dwelling older adults and have a 12-week pilot randomized control trial involved in measuring balance, concern for falling, and lower limb strength of the participants. So my first question would be, what inspired you to choose Arnis as the basis for your, program for the older adults?
All right. So when I did my PhD, like 4 to 5 years ago, I went to the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and I saw there a lot of people doing exercise, doing Tai Chi. And I think that inspired me to think about why not do community-based exercise in the Philippines, but not a Tai Chi, which is very, Oriental, very Chinese in nature, but something that is more familiar with Filipinos. And I thought of Arnis being the national martial arts of the Philippines.
Mhm. So in your opinion, how does Arnis compare to other martial arts like Tai Chi?
Well, Arnis in itself is more combative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you actually need a pairing partner, but I think it has to be modified. We actually redesigned Arnis so that it will be more applicable to older adults. And in Arnis, there are footworks, our movements. You need to rotate the trunk, you need to thrust your upper extremities. And we saw that those techniques may be able to challenge the balance of an individual, particularly older adults. And therefore, based on that, we designed the program and adopted it based on the age of our target population, which is the geriatric population.
Mm-hmm. Nice. It's like similar to Tai Chi, which they have slower movements, but they stepping to the side,
Yeah,
side to
yeah.
side, forward with their arms rotating as well,
Yes,
like that.
yes.
But with our martial arts, our knees, similar with footwork at the same time, the
Mhm.
hitting up and down, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think with our niece, we make use of sticks.
mm-hmm,
And I think with the incorporation of that, the exercise will be more functional.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because they can visualize what they
Yes.
can do. Could you provide us with more detail of what the Arnis-based exercise program that you're gonna do in your study?
All right. So the current protocol for the pilot RCT is actually based on the previous study.
Mm-hmm,
We did a qualitative study. We explored on the opinions of experts coming from different fields or different backgrounds, like a physical therapist, a sports scientist, a geriatrician, an Arnis expert, and one senior citizen herself. So, um, based on their comments and suggestions, we came up with a 12-week program. That 12 weeks also is based on previously published exercise protocols for older adults. So that 12-week program is divided into three phases. The first phase, the first 4 weeks, will be for familiarization of the Arnis techniques, movement. So the intensity set is just low. Then the second phase, wherein we incorporate now more challenging movements. The intensity set there is a transition from low to moderate. And finally, the last 4 weeks, the phase three, will be at the moderate level. So this time, it's really going to be more challenging for the older adults.
Mm. So who would administer the or lead the exercise program? Is it going to be a physical therapist or an Arnis expert?
In our case, so we want it to be a bit uniform at this
Mhm,
stage because it's still in the pilot run.
mhm,
So we we recorded the exercise in the video so that the participants will just follow what is being presented in the video, but in the presence of a physical therapist supervising them.
mhm. And
Well, all the exercises were pre-approved by an Arnis expert. So, and older adult in the previous study approved that those movements are doable
mhm,
in their age group.
got it. Um, how would you try to control the number? I've read that the program is going to be 3 times a week of
Yes.
administration of the program. Um, but would you allow the participants to practice on their own in their free time, or are you going to
Um,
control that?
for a research study,
Mhm,
things need to be controlled. So we
mhm,
need to advise the participants to stick to the protocol of
okay.
doing oh, well, at least for those who are assigned to the intervention group,
Mhm,
to stick to the protocol. That is to attend the sessions 3 times a week
mhm,
and do their usual activities the other days of the week.
mhm. Because they might enjoy it that much
Yeah.
on their own. But
We're
probably
giving
after
them
the
fancy
program.
sticks. We're
Uh-huh.
giving them fancy sticks. It's not the usual stick by the Arnis experts, but sticks with pads and color,
Mhm, mhm,
so they might enjoy playing with it. But yes, they are reminded that well, before they sign the consent form, that
mhm.
the protocol is 3 times a week for 12 weeks.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Sticks, padded sticks. I got
Yes,
a pair for my grandfather in the Philippines when I
nice.
visited him, and I gave it to his physical therapist to use, and they were using that as
Oh,
well,
very
just
nice, very
for
nice.
wand exercises. And I don't know if they did some our niche moves or techniques there. But I saw that they sell that in, I forgot what store that was. So anyway, so what do you hope to achieve with this pilot study, and what are the potential implications for the results?
Okay. So with this study, since this is a pilot study, we want to see the initial effects of the program to a small group of people, and then we can use the results as a basis for doing a more extensive study, a larger randomized controlled trial.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah, and we talked about earlier that we when I was trying to research about Arnis-based programs, exercise program, I didn't see any
None.
study coming out.
None. Not
Having
even in other fields like in physical education. Yeah,
right,
none. So I think this is
considering
very pioneering.
exactly considering that that our niece has been there for a long time and no one
Yes.
thought of doing a study on that.
Yes.
So what are the types of or kinds of challenges or difficulties that are you're expecting or trying to look for, not look forward, but try to avoid during the course of the study?
Initially, our main concern is the COVID pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So when we decide the protocol, it was to be implemented via telerehabilitation. But now that there's now easing in the restrictions, we actually submitted our modification of the protocol and do the exercises on site with the therapist. And but they still watch the video recording of the exercise, but this time on site with the physical therapist. So the first challenge really was to how are we going to implement the study given the pandemic conditions. The second one would be adherence.
Mm-hmm.
Some participants who initially consented to participate withdrew because of some um, obligations that they need to do, like they need to watch over their grandchildren.
Oh,
Some still
oh,
are working, so
right.
it's kind of challenging to schedule the exercises with those participants who already consented. And perhaps 12 weeks may be a long time for them,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll try our best to implement their study based on the protocol and see after the program, obtain their comments and suggestions. So actually, there's a follow-up study here. We'll be doing a qualitative study among the participants of the Arnis group so that we'll know whether the exercise program is acceptable to them and what are their thoughts and their perceptions about the program.
Nice. That would be interesting to see. Um, a side question.
Mhm.
I know you're in your research interested about fall risk reduction,
Mm.
and geriatric rehabilitation. Just I was just thinking, um, what would community dwelling older adults, like Philippine, in our setting, Philippine culture, would a group uh would there be a difference if it was administered as a group or um individually? The
Yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages of
Mhm,
conducting the exercise program individually or in groups.
mhm.
So, um, logistically speaking, it's more difficult to do it individually because you need a lot of manpower,
Right.
financial support as well,
Mhm,
and yeah,
mhm,
the scheduling is going to be very challenging.
mhm,
But with individual sessions, there will be a more focused
mhm.
session with the older adults, and
Right.
the physical therapist will may be able to really monitor the participants. For the group sessions, there are studies that will tell you that being in a group will actually entice the older adults to exercise because they see their peers with
Mhm.
them. They enjoy the company, the
Ah,
socialization that comes with the group session.
right.
But on the downside, yeah, it will be challenging for physical therapy if only there's only one physical therapist monitoring them,
Mm,
like 10 persons, 6 to 10 persons in one sessions on seeing how they actually execute the movements. If
mhm.
there's someone experiencing imbalance or might fall, it will be a very challenging to the PT administering the exercise. But yeah, we kind of weigh on those things, and that is also something that we can think about in the future, whether it's better to do it individually or in groups.
I think you've touched on this a while ago, but how would you control outside factors that might affect the results of the participants, like diet or other activities in their lives?
We did not control for diet,
Mhm.
so um, in our inclusion and exclusion criteria, we did not include that. So
Okay.
for exclusion, we just stated that they should be um, really healthy, so no medical conditions. They should have no. history of cerebrovascular disease, Parkinson's, whatsoever other severe conditions affecting the heart or the lungs. And in terms of cognition, we also screen them so that those with low scores and cognitive tests that we conducted are not included in the study. So those are the things that we control, but the others, no, we did not consider the nutrition. For physical activity, we inform them that they can do their usual activity,
Mhm.
and Arnis-based exercise will be in addition to what they usually do.
Okay. Do they have to be familiar with Arnis, and or do they have to have a history of how to use an Arnis stick?
Oh, no, no,
Oh,
not really. It's not a requirement.
uh-huh.
The first phase of the study is actually dedicated to that familiarization with the Arnis techniques. So it's 4 weeks of
Mhm. Mhm.
familiarization,
Right.
and basic movements were taught during that phase. And
Mhm.
by the way, I forgot to mention those who are involved in Zumba and other ballroom dancing activities for seniors were also excluded.
Mhm. So they should be healthy, but not participating in any other group
Correct, correct. That is
exercises
correct.
program. Okay. In your opinion, what would be the key advantages of using martial arts as an exercise intervention for older adults, especially in our setting, Philippine setting, compared to other types of exercises like what you mentioned, Zumba, aerobics, and Tai Chi, of course.
I think our niece is something that is familiar to Filipinos. I mean, they know that it is part of our culture, the martial arts of our country, and um, with the use of the stick, it's going to be more functional. So they don't just swing their hands in any direction. It has some involve that the technique involves them gripping
Mhm.
and executing the techniques, the movement patterns,
Mhm.
and it's it's going to involve the whole body, not just the
Right.
arms and the legs. It's going to increase their focus, their attention, their concentration as well. So there are so many benefits that the program can give, and therefore, based on these claimed benefits, I think they will be enticed to perform the exercise.
Yeah, right. When you mentioned that they're gonna hold a stick, they that involves grip, that which is not part of Tai Chi, which they have their
Yes.
hands open and just they're just moving it in a flowy movement. But with Arnis, with the more the snappy you get, the more force that you can
Yes.
generate, and that's that. You're right.
And in fact, in other studies, grip strength is now being correlated with falls. So
Mm-hmm.
it's indicator,
Mm-hmm.
or you can actually use the grip strength as a measure of their ability to break a fall or decrease their fall risk.
Mm-hmm. They're considering that as another vital sign. So from from they after gait has been considered as a vital sign, gait speed, then strength. I think they're trying to push that as a vital
Yes.
sign as well.
Yes.
So based on the results of this pilot study that you're gonna do, what would be your future plans in this research area, and will you be expanding to a larger group?
Yeah, definitely. We are actually hoping that with this podcast, we can invite collaborators so that we can conduct a larger randomized controlled trial involving more older adults. So, um, the pilot study will be our basis, our baseline data, and this will now be used to compute for the sample size of the future studies, the possible power that is needed to determine whether the Arnis program in itself is really effective. That's the future direction, is to conduct a larger randomized controlled trial, and hopefully it's not just concentrated in Manila or NCR, but actually we're conducting the study in Binangon and Rizal with the help of Ma'am Sheen, the PT there. Hopefully we are able to do this study, this exercise, and be implemented not just in Luzon, but also in Visayas and Mindanao, and even international. Do hope that we are open to collaborations with other stakeholders, with other physical therapies, or even physical fitness enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm. How would you feel, sir, if you later on, there would come a day that instead of in the communities, instead of you seeing Zumba and Tai Chi, you'll see Arnis being done by our community dwelling older adults. That would be
I'm
fun.
having goosebumps already. Actually, that is my vision. All
Mhm.
right. So when I saw people doing Tai Chi in Hong Kong, that is my vision for the Philippines. That I see a group of individuals, of primarily older adults, doing Tai Chi, and I hope to see more people getting involved in exercise even in old age.
Right. So thank you very much again, Dr. Lipardo, for coming to the podcast and talking about more about your study on our NIST-based exercise program for community dwelling older adults. For those who are interested in reading up more about your article, it's in the Philippine Journal of Physical Therapy. And the it's in volume 1, issue 3, so you can check that out for those who are watching,
All
listening,
right.
or interested in this. And you can reach out to Dr. Lipard if you want, if you're interested in
Yes.
collaborating with them. And I believe that your contact information is in the journal as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
accurate.
So yeah, for everyone who's interested in working with Dr. Lipardo there and interested in Arnis-based exercise program, let's make that happen. Let's
Yeah.
see our older adults doing community exercise with our niece as their program. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Lipardo, for being in the
My
podcast.
pleasure.
So for everyone watching, listening, until next time, so stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating world of research with us here on Behind the Research. See you, everyone.
Thank you.